In this video help, I'm going to cover the work order form. This is a two-page document. The first part of the form is the actual work order where you're providing information on the steps and tasks that were taken on the process of doing the work order. I already created a new record, number 3, for the work order by clicking on the new record button. And what that does is it presents a serialized sequencing number. Now, the next thing you want to do when you're setting up the work order form is to go ahead and put in a client. Next, you want to put in the client information as far as the location and the date to which you're going to actually do the service. Next, you want to go ahead and, if you have a PO number that was given to you by the contact from the location, you would put that in. So I'm going to put in a number for the PO number. The priority in this case was routine. And the next thing that will happen when you do that is going to want to know how much is the quantity. Now I'm going to point out one thing. When you're using the work order will reduce the quantity on hand in the inventory for the number that you put in there. You have to consider that if you're going out to do a task and you just want to list the item that you're going to work on, do not put a number on it. For example, if it's an installed pump or a piece of equipment that is fixed at the location and you're going out to service it with product services, say the service is a calibration or whatever, or you're going to fix something on the pump, then what you would do is put a number in there. Otherwise, the top level item does not get a number. But let's go ahead and put in a number for this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create the record, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the item that we're going to be servicing or working on, and I'm going to pick the 007 micron filter, and it'll automatically put in the name of the item. The next thing we want to do is to go ahead and put in the serial number of the item, and what happens is you're going to pick from this list the serial number of the item that you have in your hand that you're carrying out there with you. So in this case, you match up the KO 007 to whatever the serial number of the item it is. In this particular case, we only have one in inventory right now. Keeping in mind that the products that we're putting in right now are of a very small inventory for a starter system for a new app that's being set up for a client. So if I put this in there, if I were going to take the actual serial number of the item that's out there at the location, that would be the current serial number. If I'm going to replace it with another one, I would have to have a like part, for example, on the 007 3825, with a different serial number, and that would be what I'm putting in there. Because we don't have a lot in the inventory, I can't do that right now. So let's go ahead and skip by that. And the rest of the work would be involving here would be the things like awaiting parts and such. Now you'll notice what just happened over here on the side. As soon as I put in a serial number for the item that's current and then click beyond it, what it did is it gave me a listing of the current inventory that's available in the inventory system. So it'll pop up as soon as it has a number here to compare to for the current serial number. Now we can go out, and if there were additional items for this particular part that we're working on, the 825, which is this one, we would see a different standing here. Now, obviously, this one says in stock because I'm kind of cheating a little bit and using data that is not yet mature. If this was actually out in the site, then it would be installed instead of in stock. And when it's installed, if you're looking over here at the data and you put it in, you'll know that that's the one that you're looking at that's installed in the field. If I were going to remove it and replace it with another one, I would go ahead and, if it's serialized, which it may not be serialized, I would go ahead and pick one that is serialized or not have a serial number at all. Here's a good example of that. I've got a duplex board here that does not have any items in stock, and if there were items in stock and they were not serialized, then the duplex board would not show a serial number there because it's a non-serialized replacement item. So the serializing of this would be nothing down in here. There would be nothing in there for serial numbers. Thereby, you would not get the report of the serial numbers that you may need to replace it with. This would stay blank, if you understand what I'm doing. So you would have an equipment, no serial number, and then if it's going to be awaiting parts or in process or work is done, that would be your next status. You can always add different statuses by clicking on here and going over to the work area where you can add a new record in here by clicking new record and then adding a new line item in here, and that would be in your pick list. It's a great idea to not take any of these out once they've been used, because you will erase it wherever it was at if you pull it out of the system. So let's go back to work order 1. The same thing pertains to the status line. If I go into the status line, I have appointment completed, callback appointment, customer called, new appointment, service pending, and work completed. You can have anything like a missed appointment or whatever you want to add in here, and these will scroll. You can put as many of these in there as you want. This little field right here will change the top one. If you want to edit something, you can click it and then edit it up here, and as soon as you click off of it again, it will update that. But recall, you shouldn't be changing these if they are used already in somewhere in the app. You can create another new one that can replace it, or you can delete that one completely if you don't want to use that one by clicking on the delete. Okay, let's go back to the work order and look at page number 2. Since we already did all we were going to do here, we could have put a status in. I'll put awaiting parts and let's say customer call, new appointment, service pending. So we'll put that in there. What you would do is continue adding items that you're servicing and working on in the list here. And recall now, when I put that demand on the system, was there really an item there to replace it? If there was, it would reduce the number of items that are actually out there. So we need to know if there's an item there. I could jump over through the equipment inventory and look to see if the item's there by clicking on this icon. That way I'd verify that there is an item out there and it is available. Of course, when you're looking here, if it says in stock, that is kind of a pointer that there should be something there to go ahead and replace it with. Once again, keeping in mind that there's an in stock, issued, salvaged, core, non-serialized, meaning the item has no serial number, sent to the vendor if it was sent back for repairs or servicing, installed, out of stock, and service part, no serial number. A service part, no serial number is an item that you're using that you're going to install and it doesn't have a service number on it, but it's not going to affect it if you go ahead and put a number at the beginning to reduce it. That'd be something like, I don't know, fluid or a lubricant or something like that. It will go back over in the history for the work order, and if it goes to that particular area, it'll reduce it by 1, which in this case just shows a service that was done. Okay, now let's go to page 2 and look at that. In page 2, what we're doing is we're switching over and looking at the actual performance of the item that was an issue. In this case, there's a little formula here for how to do a date range if you're looking for items in a date range on the other report or this report. I can use that in any date field, like this date field, to get a date range using the find. And I put that in there so people will know how to organize and do a range. Like this would be from January 1st to January 30th, where I could see all the work orders for that period of time. You can just change the dates to whatever range you want to use, 10 days, 1 day, whatever. The issue would be added here. For example, in the case of the filter, it needs to be changed, and it's a periodic service that we're doing where every so many days we replace it. The resolution is, after you complete the work, the filter was replaced, and if you have comments, say for example, there was a seal on the filter that was being replaced that was not installed correctly or whatever, this would be the work order form that you would take and send to a customer, or have them the employee's name put in here, and then have them sign it as far as the form is concerned. Most of all the stuff you're looking at up in here is all the same, so you wouldn't have to worry about changing this. Okay. To get back to the page 1, click on this icon, and it will return to the form that we were just on. And you can see the data that was all in here. Now, once again, if you move, you can move between the next record. And for example, you'll see that the next record, number 4, is ready to be added new data. And this has already got a person in it that we were starting to set up to do the next one. This one is going to be a routine, and obviously it's not complete. So we would change the status from being complete to not being complete. and then also add in all the line items. And as we said before, it'll populate the inventory for serialized items if that's what you're looking for. If you have any questions, as always, go ahead and contact us through the website for support. Thank you.